Okay, I call this Board of Health meeting to order at 5:31. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, this meeting will be recorded. So with this meeting being duly posted and a quorum present, I call this meeting of the Board of Health to order at 5:31 on February 8th. This meeting is being recorded for future broadcast on the Town of Dudley YouTube page. Anyone wishing to speak must be recognized by the chair prior to speaking by raising your hand. Please do not interrupt the meeting by speaking from the audience without being recognized by the chair. You must come to the podium to speak. Please state your name and address before speaking. And I think I'll let you take over since you,
Have the agenda?
yes.
So, no minutes for approval tonight because this is a special meeting. We don't have any meeting mail tonight. And the first thing on the agenda is the appointment of your health agent.
I make a motion to appoint Patrick Hannon as our health agent.
I have a motion and a second. All approved?
Aye.
Okay, passes.
Okay. The next item on the agenda under old business is Whiskey Rocks to meet with the board to discuss their pre-operational inspection and permit application reviews after the renovations for a licensed food establishment. And there'll be a discussion of matters presented and hopefully votes will be taken.
Okay.
So, on February 5th, Amanda and I went and met with the applicants at Whiskey Rocks and primarily took a look at the kitchen and the way the bar was set up and those items. And a plan did come in, as they promised, on January 25th. You folks have the January 25th plan there. It was corrected by their engineer / architect, I don't know, registered architect. And when we went in to look at the kitchen, there was some equipment that was added, and it's colored out in the pink. It says the electric grill, 2 electric grills, an induction burner, a steam table. And they were from the other restaurant that they owned. So I mentioned that the grill and things were gonna need a hood, and that was gonna be a further delay. So they offered that they would cook their menu for both sides on the same line for Whiskey Rocks. So I have no problem with the revised plan, as long as that equipment is not there. And we inspected the bar. Their hand washing sinks are a little difficult to get to, but they're gonna provide some signage for the hand washing sinks and make the paper towels available and do those things. There's a dishwasher on one side of the bar, and there's a 3-bay sink that will be used on the other side for washing glasses on that side, as I understood it during the inspection. And as long as the kitchen setup matches the plan that was provided, I'm ready to ask you to approve their license. But it's important that the kitchen matches the plan that was provided. And that's it.
And that's matching the plan.
January
from
25th.
January 25th,
2024.
with the exception of the
That those items
equipment.
would be removed.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
So the only cooking equipment would be on the line, and maybe a microwave somewhere.
okay.
Good.
So you would make a motion to approve the plan?
I think. Who wants to make a
Unless you
motion?
want to ask the Valley if
You
they want
guys
to say
have
anything
any-
first, if they're okay with
Yeah.
that.
Craig Valley, I'm good.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah?
So that is both the approval of the application for the plan review as well as the food permit to operate.
Yes. So I approved the plan review today.
Okay.
So I went to Staples yesterday and had these enlarged so that they were easier to read. It made it much easier for me. So I've approved that, and I've approved the plan, but they have to approve.
Okay.
So somebody makes a motion and a second, and
So I'll make a motion to approve the plan dated January 25th, 2024, with the revisions that are highlighted in pink in the kitchen
for the cooking equipment.
for the cooking equipment.
Not the dishwashing stuff.
No,
all
no,
right,
just in the
machine.
kitchen,
Yep.
for the cooking equipment in the kitchen.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
So how do we proceed now to, they do the food permit, but we still need to get our CO to open tomorrow. So we need, from my understanding, your signature, the board's signature on that to get that final CO, is that correct?
Yeah, so what I would like to do is come by and meet you there tomorrow morning and walk through with the plan.
Okay.
I understand that Nelson's going to be available, or
I didn't know that, that's great.
he was in the building. He was in the office earlier.
Okay.
He spoke to Mrs. Valby. She sent him the questions, the plan. He questioned the occupancy. We all saw it.
Yeah,
it
he
was-
actually was sent that directly from the engineer.
Yeah,
on
he
the
said he
2nd.
didn't get it, but he did get it tonight.
Okay.
And it's all set, and it really has nothing to do with us. We don't care about the occupancy.
Okay.
We just care about the equipment and how it's all set up.
Okay.
So tell me what time you want me to stop by tomorrow, and I'll,
I guess I need you and Nelson, correct? I don't know what,
Nelson, I don't know. Nelson might,
As far as I know, Nelson's not coming in tomorrow.
but he might be able to give him
When,
a verbal.
When I spoke to Nelson earlier in the week, he said just make sure with you that it was
Okay.
uploaded into the portal, everything's good, and he could see it on his end, whatever that means,
Okay.
and he would,
So,
from his iPad, sign off.
So then I'll send him a message
Perfect.
first thing in the morning.
and you folks have Nelson's cell phone number.
I do.
Mhm.
So when you leave tonight, I will call Nelson and say, Board of Health approved our plan, what do we need to do next? You know, Pat's gonna be there tomorrow. And,
9?
9 work for you?
yeah,
Okay. I'll see you at 9 sharp.
okay,
Sure, thank you.
excellent. I'm good.
All right,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Perfect, Thank you.
you're welcome.
You guys have a good night.
You too. So the next thing on the agenda, under new business, was an emergency regulation limiting the hot holding, cooling, and reheating of TCS foods at all of our food service establishments in Dudley. We've had 13 foodborne illnesses in town in the last 2 years. That equates to 26 people got food poisoning in this town that have reported it and had confirmable symptoms. The number could be far greater than that. It's a serious issue. After going through the review of this and reading HACCP plans and levels of how many times you can reheat food, some of our restaurants in town, because food is so expensive right now, the restaurants can't raise their prices to make their profit margins. I feel like they're holding food too long. You could reheat. I only eat leftovers once. I wouldn't want to eat leftovers 3 times. And after reading through this, I found that every time you cool and reheat, you bring these through the danger zone and more bacteria grows. Unless you heat it to 165 degrees for 15 seconds, you haven't killed all the bacteria. And seeing that most of my inspections, the number one thing wrong is temperatures. Almost every restaurant in this town has a problem with their holding temperatures. And this is gonna be the safest way. And even if we put a time limit on this for 6 months and say you can only reheat food twice. You can cook it and chill it, and then you can cook it and chill it, or cook it and it's gone, actually, the second time. And see if that helps. But I do think that that's the smoking gun, is temperature, and how many times they bring it between that 41 and 165.
So this might be a silly question, and I probably might know the answer, but I still want to ask it. The temperature, is it as easy as them using the food thermometer or do these hot holding and cooling things have a temperature gauge on it?
Great question, because it is as simple as them using that food
The
thermometer, but they
thermometer?
don't even know how to use them.
Okay.
So when I go in and I'll ask the owner or whoever's the person in charge, and I'm gonna use meatballs as an example because that's been a common denominator in our food poisoning complaints. And it's not any one place, it's spread around. So I'll ask them to take the temperature of the meatballs in their steam table. And they just grab a temperature off the wall and they go to stick it in, and I say, well, wait a minute, you need to sanitize that. And they go to put it under the hand sanitizer to put it into the food. When you reheat something, you should take a sampling. If you reheat 20 meatballs, you should take 3 or 4 of them out and take the temperature in the middle of the meatball, and it should be 165 degrees. Then it can go in the heating table and it can remain at 135 degrees. But when I go in and do my inspection, some of them aren't even at 135 degrees, or at 124 degrees, because they've added cold product to that pan without heating it up. And their common answer is, I'll stir it up. And that's not the common answer.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the night, whatever was in that hot holding table goes into a clean pan, gets covered and goes in the walk-in cooler after it's cooled. That clean pan goes into the heating unit. That's not what's happening. They're taking the pan from that day, hopefully covering it, putting it in the walk-in, it's going right back out the next day. And they're putting more food on top of the old food, heating it up, stirring it, whatever they're doing, and selling it to the public. And I've had people in the building that work here tell me that either their husband or their wife didn't feel good. And they're like, maybe, but after watching our meeting and hearing about it, they feel like, they got food poisoning, and they had meatballs. And it's not any one place. The restaurant can be as clean as an operating room,
Mhm.
but if your temperatures are wrong, someone's gonna get sick. And if it was someone from a highly susceptible situation, it could kill them.
Right.
So it's a serious issue. So that's gonna come for our next meeting.
Okay.
We didn't have time to do that. I wanted to talk to Jeff Blake, town council. I wanted to make sure that I got the right citation of our authority to do that, and we ran out of time for that. And there's been some more food service inspections. I did a re-inspection of Dudley Pizza. I gave him probably almost a month to get into the groove. It looked as good as the day that I reopened them. He was happy to see me. He wanted to make me lunch. The place looks great.
Good.
Yeah, he definitely is doing it. I've held off on the Yummy re-inspection. I want to give them a chance to get going again and see if any bad habits, pop back up. These are all random inspections. No one knows when I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to come on Saturdays because no one expects a food inspector to be out on a Saturday, but we need to see them in operation.
Right.
Upside Restaurant had a very good inspection. Their kitchen's very small. They're a little challenged there, but they're doing a good job. Big Al's Pizza, he had a very good inspection. He has a really nice prep room. He has a great guy that knows what he's doing, and he's very proud of his operation. And I had heard that it was gonna be you hear all these rumors.
Yep.
And everything that I've heard that was gonna be a bad inspection has been a great inspection. And everything that you've heard has been a good inspection has been, but the random inspections are working. The word is definitely out. After we closed Dudley Pizza House, I went to Leone's. And Leone's had a bad inspection maybe 2 years ago or last year, and it was spotless. They're doing a great job there. And they told me that Shinoda went down and warned them that I've been out. And when I went to Jimmy's Pizza, they pointed out, we cleaned this and we cleaned that, and we heard. So it's been effective, and they're paying attention.
That's good.
We had a problem with Walgreens, hadn't applied for their food service license and hadn't paid. I went down and gave them 72 hours to pay. They didn't do anything the first 2 days. I told them I'd be back tomorrow to put little green stickers on their refrigerators that they couldn't sell food, and they paid within 2 hours. And it really takes that direct approach.
Mhm.
I don't like to slow dance on these things.
No.
It's become a bad habit in town of having no health agent. And that's the worst thing the town could have done, was not have a health agent for as long as you did. So, and that's really all I have for tonight.
And you're still, I know Firebrands was one of the ones on the last one.
Yeah, so.
Still working on, with them or on them?
So,
or-
I'm a little disappointed that Firebrands is slow dancing me, actually. And I noticed while we were at Whiskey Rocks that Firebrands had opened for lunch. They have a sign up that they're open for lunch. They don't have approved hours by the board. So when you apply and you put your hours down, those are the hours that you're locked into. And when the Valbys were filling out their application, I spent 2 hours with Mr. Valby helping him fill out his final application. And when he started putting down those hours, I said, look, put down 10:30 to whatever you want every day, because there may come the day that you want to open for brunch. You may want to do Bloody Marys. You may want to do these things. And he took that advice. So they have hours. You don't have to open all your hours. So I need to visit Whiskey Rocks. I'm going to do a re-inspection based on, they're under an enforcement order, and they've expanded their hours without even completing the enforcement items.
Fire brands.
Fire brands, yeah. And that's,
Should we have them come to our next meeting?
I'd like to go do the re-inspection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's have them come to the next meeting, and I'll make sure the re-inspection is before our next meeting.
Okay.
And then we have time, so I will tell you that there's been some complaints about a property at 2 Leonard Avenue that someone's running a towing company out of there and storing junk cars and making a mess and giving the neighbors a hard time. And it turns out it is zoned industrial, but they don't have the right to store junk cars there and dismantle them and put trash all over the place. And Chapter 111 of our ordinances applies to nuisances. So I wrote them an enforcement order today that under Chapter 111, Section 122, the Board of Health shall examine into all nuisances, source of filth, and causes of sickness within its town or on board of vessels within the harbor of such town, which may in its opinion be injurious to the public health, shall destroy, remove, or prevent the same as the case may require, and shall make regulations for the public health and safety relative thereto, and to articles capable of containing or conveying infection or contagion or of creating sickness brought into or conveyed from the town or into or from any vessel. Whoever violates any such regulation shall forfeit not more than $1,000. Then, when you get into 111 and 123, it talks about being able to order them to remove all of these things at their own expense. And there's a penalty there for $1,000 a day if you don't act on the town's order. The other thing is they're buying junk cars. I looked at their website. They're buying junk cars. They're paying cash for scrap. Some of the cars are being dismantled at this address. That's a Class 3 junk license required. I checked with the Assistant Town Administrator. We don't have any Class 3 junk licenses issued in the town right now. So my suggestion to the board is that we designate that Class 3 licenses are a noisome trade. And a noisome trade, boards of health may regulate offensive trades or occupations under general law, Chapter 111, 143, and 150. No trade or employment which may result in a nuisance, be harmful to the inhabitants, injurious to their estates, dangerous to public health, or may be attended by noisome injurious odors shall be established in a municipality, unless the Board of Health, after a public hearing, has assigned a location for such trade or occupation. And under general law, Chapter 111, 143, these location assignments must be entered into the city or town records and may be revoked or amended with conditions when the Board of Health thinks it is proper to do so. And as far as judicial review, an order issued by the Board of Health pursuant to Chapter 111, 122 is not subject to judicial review and revision. And that is, the court has no power to question whether there was a nuisance or to enjoin or prevent the Board of Health from acting to abate the nuisance. And they quote the case law. So in this letter it says, therefore, it is ordered that Jessica Graves, DBA, cease and desist immediately and abate said nuisance within 24 hours and cease and desist immediately from operating a noisome trade at the location known as 2 Leonard Street in Dudley, Mass. A noisome trade and a nuisance is anything that annoys your neighbors. The word noisome comes from an English way back when. So annoying your neighbors, hurting their property values, all of these things falls into the noisome trade. So if we make Class 3 scrap licenses a noisome trade, which we have the right to designate it, that ends that whole operation there. They can come before us, they can apply for a permit. The residents will be able to come in that have been complaining for years. And we've had 2 very mad people at our counter. And I probably spent 45 minutes with a woman today convincing her that we did have the authority and that we would be fixing their problem, because they've been to every board in the town, even the police, and they didn't have any authority to do anything. But they're tracking dirt down the street. I took pictures of oil that's being spilled in the street, possibly going into the storm drain. They've got scrap tires out back. They've got pickup trucks loaded full of trash in the back of them. I took pictures of everything today. And I would be absolutely, beside myself if I lived in that neighborhood and was paying taxes and something like that was allowed to go on beside me. And he's even on Facebook taunting the neighbors that I can do whatever I want to do, and I'm you can't stop me. And I asked Jen to screenshot that today. I have taken photos off of the Facebook pages where he was advertising scrap removal, highest prices paid, I pay cash, you don't need a title. He's running a junkyard there. So they've been ordered to stop. They have 24 hours notice, and then they're gonna go to a $1,000 a day penalty. Yep. So it's not just about restaurants.
No.
We've got housing problems. We've got trash in people's backyards. I have some nuisance orders to issue, some triple deckers that have refrigerators and pallets and stuff piled up in the back, and they don't care because they think they can abuse the people that live there, but they're abusing their neighbors at the same time. So we're gonna clean that up. And that's,
That's a lot.
it is a lot, but it needs to
Thank
be
you.
done.
I know.
And I'm up for the challenge. And that's it for tonight.
All right, well, anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 5:53.